No, she just can do it.
Alright. So, before we discuss this piece, I'm actually going to have us try to draw what we envisioned this piece to look like before it was erased. Okay. So, fill up. You should have a white sheet of paper. And try to maybe work horizontally and use as much of the space as you can. Okay? So right now, it's smudged. What do you think it looked like when it wasn't smudged? Okay, so try to draw that. And I'm going to give us some time, so take your time. You're going to have about 4 minutes to do this. Okay?
你站到我们前面录，就是你正脸。等一下，等一下。
Do what you can. Alright, so about 1 more minute, and just try your hardest again. It doesn't have to look absolutely perfect. However, I do intend that it looks good enough that we can put on this poll. I'll give you about 15 more seconds. up your final touches. It's like all right, great. So if we could just go ahead and share our drawings with one another. No, that's great. And then to get close. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so could you guys guess what this is? What it was before it was what it is? No, I've never seen that movie. But,
One of those like outdoor spaces. Yeah, it's a lake.
okay, so you're kind of like placing it in this environment that is perhaps in a garden or in a lake near body of water. Great, thank you. So you know what it is? Okay. Great. Thank you. And what's so great about this is that like so many people have different experiences with different architecture, and depending on where you live, of course, it's going to reference something to you that might be different from everybody else. But this is actually a gazebo, and that's actually the name of the piece. It's called Gazebo. And this artist, he actually is interested in the way that different types of architectural elements might have an association with class. For instance, when we think of, for instance, like Trump Tower, that might be synonymous with various things. It might be a sign of wealth, or of power, or of what? Corruption, exactly, or corruption. That as well. Here is a gazebo, and to contextualize this even more, every single piece that that's in this exhibition, this one, and also the gallery that's on the other side, is made by an African American artist. And some of the work is racialized, some of the work not so much. And when we say that something is racialized in the context of the work, that means that the artist is really trying to explore how their identity, their blackness, can be discussed in their body of work. And Gary Simmons is actually someone who is doing that with this piece that he made. So when we think of a gazebo, you kind of have a different understanding, perhaps of a gazebo than perhaps or vice versa. What do you think of in terms of maybe class, and who are the people that might interact or be inside of this gazebo that we drew? Think about maybe social status, their ethnic background, what parts of the country might you see this, what sorts of neighborhoods you might see this. What are some things that come to mind?
Shelter for human beings to sleep in. It's just really
there's some connections that we can make between the people that would interact in space, or we could envision, because right now there's no people populating this painting, but we could kind of imagine if there were people, who they would be, what they might look like. And where are you from? China? In China, you mentioned that they have buildings like this. What sorts of people, what type of people visit these buildings?
From the God.
Okay. So a variety.
Yeah, variety.
All right. So now what I want us to do is you have your erasers. Did I give you an eraser? No. Okay. Yeah. So what I'd like for us to do is, if we could just come up with a word to describe what it is to be privileged right here. What does it mean to you to be privileged? And if you could just write the word on top of the gazebo that you drew. So what does it mean to you to be privileged? Just write it all the way across, about this size. And if it's easier, you can write it in a sentence. But what does it mean to you? What is privilege? So if we could just go ahead and if we could just like share all of our words. Fortunate.
Luck.
Yeah, okay. Education. And if we could just like maybe share why we chose that word. So do you want me to start first?
Sure.
All right. So I chose education because I really do feel that it's through my education, my schooling, that I was able to eventually find a job that is within the field of interest. I studied art, and it's just really difficult to find a job just within the arts, not only in general, but especially in San Diego. So I work as a high school teacher, and I'm very fortunate that I've been able to have that as a career. And I don't think that if I didn't have my schooling at UCSD, I probably wouldn't have been able to land that position. So.
Okay, so initially I thought of the word luck, but I switched to fortunate because I think it encompasses a little more. Because it's not just a spark of luck. I think it's something. Sorry. I think.
Yeah, bro, you hated on my word.
I think fortune encompasses luck, and it also encompasses a background. So I think education is part of that. Wealth is a part of that upbringing.
Yeah.
And so in order to be privileged, you have to be fortunate enough to be born into all of those things, into wealth, education, a good family,
Okay.
A family who's willing to invest in your education and your future.
Okay. Thank you.
I want to say before going into my word, I do like fortunate because it has an emotional connotation in that you could be grateful. At least that's the way I associate the word fortunate. The reason why I specifically chose the word luck is because I think that to be privileged, you can't choose. You have to be just kind of like born into it. So, and luck is something that you don't have possession over. So you have to just have it from like the beginning.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
I mean, you could definitely acquire it through education, which I love, but I feel like in some ways you have to have some sort of basis of luck in the beginning to be afforded an
Could you
education.
put me on camera at least for a record, just so you know, your professor.
Thank you so much for sharing. And did you have one?
For me, I think I have some feeling with her.
So with these words in mind, now I want us to again remember that Gary Simmons, his work is definitely related to his memory as an African American male, and I'd like for us to think maybe how the African American community may not be as privileged in these regards, in the words that we wrote in our paper. So maybe we could think a little bit for about 20 seconds. And you could think about maybe your own word or maybe a word of someone else that maybe struck you. But how might they not have access to education or the fortune or be as fortunate as someone who is perhaps a white male, for instance.
Her word fortunate really propels me to think because I think luck is kind of, you can't refute against it. It's more like factually based, like I have luck or I don't have luck. But whereas like fortunate, even if you might not be privileged in having an access to education or like good housing or socio-economical opportunities, you can still say I feel fortunate. So that word to me is, I like her choice of words.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I just think, not to get hung up on this word, but fortunate it's a very, it kind of has an ambiguous meaning. It can mean different things to different people depending on what you regard as fortunate. So for some people that's money alone, for some people that's race, and I think just the whole debate over racial injustice in this country is very gray. It's definitely not black and white, and it means different things to different people. So a white man might say, oh, I'm not fortunate, I have the same socioeconomic status as a black man, but for that black man, maybe he feels that white skin affords a certain type of privilege. So I just think it's very, it's just a gray area.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I would say that I absolutely agree with everything that you guys are saying. And now what I'd like us to do is actually, if we could, with these words in mind, but also with the image that we drew. Did you get an eraser? Now what I'd like us to do is actually try to erase your image, just like Gary Simmons does.
But not the word.
And the word.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're doing something that's very similar to what Gary does. I can collect it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
And then I can collect yours too. And then, do you want to wipe yours?
It's fine.
So now that that looks good. That's fantastic. So now that we erased it, just like what Gary did with this piece, how do you think that changes the way that not only is this piece interpreted by the viewer, but perhaps even your own piece can be interpreted by the viewer?
When I first drew or attempted to draw a gazebo, I thought it looked representative of a gazebo, and I didn't intentionally try to do this with my eraser, but I noticed my stairs got erased a lot. And I was looking at it, and I don't know if I'm thinking too much, but I was also looking at my word luck, and I thought of the other cuss word. And then I thought, oh well, since like the stairs have been erased, like how are you supposed to ascend into a better socioeconomic, I don't know, place?
Yeah.
And then just the word like hit me like,
Yeah. Good. Thank you.
So totally opposite of what I started out with, like what?
And that's great.